What is this? Steam's new data just made $70 games look pathetic. Oh boy. This one's about to be a doozy.
Steam just dropped the official Best of 2025 list, and if you're a high-level executive at a major AAA
You are
publisher,
shitting
you're
yourself.
probably having a very bad day. Every year, Valve releases the Platinum tier, the top 12 highest-grossing games on the entire platform.
I don't remember a year. No, I don't remember a single year since really this whole Platinum stuff became a thing where there were as many non AAA games or like live service models on the Platinum front. It's insane how far Silksong and Schedule 1 went, but both phenomenal games.
Usually, this list is a fortress of $70 blockbusters and massive live service titles, but this year the fortress has been breached. Sitting right alongside billion-dollar franchises like Monster Hunter Wilds and EA Sports FC 26 are two independent titles that have no business being here if you follow traditional industry logic. Hollow Knight Silksong and Schedule 1.
No, they fully fucking do deserve to be there. Like, here's the thing. Hollow Knight Silksong is a bit of a cheat code because it's just, you could have released that any year and it would have been in the same spot. It's just, Hollow Knight is that good of a game that it just would have propelled it all the way forward. But Schedule 1 was a very, very unique and different kind of game, and it came around at just the right time when Queso was playing his sort of simulator games. And I don't know if you guys have realized or have looked at it. After Queso started playing simulator games, the entire simulator genre has, in a word, gotten out of hand. It's kind of ridiculous.
But here's the part that should terrify the big studios. Most of the games on the list cost $70. Silksong and Schedule 1, they cost $20.
Yeah. I was gonna say Night Rain isn't. Let's just have a look at this again. Yeah.
List costs $70. Silksong and Schedule 1, they cost $20. If you do the math, for an indie game to generate the same gross revenue as a $70 AAA giant, it doesn't just need to do well. It needs to sell nearly 4 times the amount. Today, we're going to break down the numbers, the math behind this slap in the face, and why 2025 is the year the Steam community officially voted against the $70 standard. Before we take a look at the winners, Valve recently released the 2025 Steam Year in Review, and it contained a statistic that should be a wake-up call for the entire industry.
Really?
According to the official recap, only 14% of total user playtime on Steam in 2025 was spent on games released in 2025.
Ooh. No, but hang on. No. But hang on. No. Okay. I would also like something to say. The percentage of playtime spent by all Steam users in live action, live action, live game update. For God's sake, I'm having a brain blank here, people. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. I'd like a percentage for that.
Despite the massive marketing pushes for Battlefield, Civilization...
Because I highly doubt that, people just aren't playing video games. I'm sorry.
7 and Monster Hunter, 86% of the time, Steam users were playing older games. 44% of playtime went to games 1 to 7 years old, and a massive 40% went to classics, which were 8 years or older.
Okay, that is very interesting. So, hold on. Here's what we do. Hold up. Let's pull up Steam. And let's just have a look here. if we go to browse, and then we go to top sellers, and we go global. So Counter-Strike, Arc Raiders. Can we change this to years? Because 300, that's not that old. Rust is quite old, but it's not very old. No, you're like fully right. Like, I guess not.
This 14% figure is actually a decline from the 15% we saw in 2024. This tells us that the new release market is more crowded.
Don't get me wrong. Like, yes, the new release market is more crowded, yes, but it's also like games are just, they don't have the same grab as some of the old games, especially AAA games. I'll say that the AA games, the indie games, are more grabby than what indie games than what indie games used to be. They're slightly higher quality, I think. But they also have that same old school studio feel. So like you remember the days of like the PlayStation 2, right? Some of these indie games are like make me feel like I'm playing on a PlayStation 2 again. Particularly like games like Schedule 1 or Hollow Knight. Those are some fucking prime PS2 games that nothing to do with the graphics, nothing to do with the gameplay. But they just have that like old school feel, if you know what I mean.
And more competitive than ever, as we are reaching just around 20,000 games released this year. So when an indie game like Silksong or Schedule 1 manages to fight its way into the platinum revenue tier, the top 12 games on the platform, they aren't just competing with other new games. They are fighting for that tiny 14% slice of the pie against the most successful games in history. In a year where people are playing less new games overall, the fact that these indies dominated the revenue charts is a massive hit to the AAA ecosystem. Now let's look at the actual top new releases of 2025 by revenue. In no particular order as it is randomized, the platinum tier includes Monster Hunter Wilds, Civilization 7, Elden Ring Night Reign, Borderlands 4, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, EA Sports FC 26, Battlefield 6, Arc Raiders, Dune Awakening, Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Schedule 1. Have you noticed the price difference? Every other game on this list is backed by a publisher with a marketing budget larger than the development budget of most indies. Take Battlefield 6, where it was reported that they went over their $400 million budget. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of developers and people working on these titles. Meanwhile,
hold on, let's just. I'm not one to make a guess without proof. How many people worked on Battlefield 6? Dice and blah 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 blah. They are not saying. They there is just no information. Okay, fair enough.
Silksong was made by 3 people at Team Cherry, and for Schedule 1, it was just a solo developer. But when you look even closer at that platinum list, a disturbing trend.
But he's Australian, so really it balances things out, because them those blokes are crazy.
And 4 big publishers gets revealed. In 2025, being a bestseller no longer means you are a best liked game. Let's just look at the scores for these AAA giants. Civilization 7 is currently sitting at mixed. Players cite a controversial UI and a soft reset ages system that polarized the longtime fanbase. Monster Hunt Wilds.
I've heard really good things about the Civ series. Civ 7 came out and people told me it was going to be the greatest one ever. And then, they're not playing it anymore. Why are you not playing Civ 7, Jake? Well, because, Civ 6 is out, do you know?
Also mixed. While the gameplay is praised, the PC optimization at launch was so demanding that many struggled to maintain 60 FPS. EA Sports FC 26 also mixed. The community continues to push back against aggressive monetization and a perceived lack of innovation in career mode. Borderlands 4 mixed. It's a looter shooter that was filled with performance issues. But when we look at the indies that were only made with a few hands, Silksong is holding a very positive rating. Despite some criticism over its brutal difficulty and a localization review bombing incident in China, the core...
there was a whole... I think Sean Jacksepticeye really said this best, where the old Hollow Knight was a game that you could sort of more or less take your time with, where you would walk around, and if you found a boss, there were 3 levels of difficulty in Hollow Knight, the base game, right? There was, you're beating this boss fairly easily, you can sit back in your chair and you don't really have to pay attention because it's just easy enough. The next level would be you're forced to pay some attention, but again, it's not too out of hand, really. And then the third one is you have to lean forward, and those are reserved for the very, very high-end bosses, Radiance and True Radiance, the Hollow Knight in some cases as well. For Silksong, your baseline starting point is that raised position. Is that leaning forward position. The bosses in this game are brutal.
Steam audience remains supportive of the quality to price ratio. Schedule 1 is the undisputed champion of the year. It sits at overwhelmingly positive, around 98% positive. This is the definition of a quality gap.
There is nothing offensive about Schedule 1. In fact, for the kind of game that it is, I would say that it is damn near perfect. It is very refined. It has maybe 1 or 2 things, but they're so minor that it's like when I say 1 or 2 things, I mean, let's say you can jump down to somewhere in the game. You wouldn't then be able to jump back out of the way that you came, so you have to go around a building in order to get out. That's the sort of stuff that I'm talking about. But they're so minor that, for the kind of game that it is, I wouldn't... it's fine.
Games with the smallest budgets have the highest player satisfaction. The games with the largest budgets, the ones that need a high price tag to break even, are the ones players are most frustrated with. Now let's talk about the math of the Steam economy. Steam's year-end tiers are based on gross revenue, total dollars earned, not copies sold. If a game like Civilization 7 or Borderlands 4 sells 3 million copies at $70, it generates $210 million in gross revenue. For Silksong or Schedule 1 to reach that same revenue milestone at their $20 price point, they have to sell 10.5.
I understand where he's going with this now. Oh shit. And they were both in the... Really? So Schedule 1 managed to sell enough to get... What? Really?
5 million copies. This means that for every one person playing a AAA blockbuster...
Now, I will just preface this again and say the majority of the players are not on Steam for the bigger games. So, Battlefield 6, for example, I imagine most of its player base is probably console. Same with COD, right?
On this list, there are potentially 3 to 4 people playing the indie alternative. On Steam, player base is power. A larger player base means more concurrent players, more community engagement, and more playtime, all of which feed back into Valve's discovery algorithm. In 2025, we saw this directly in action. Schedule 1, despite being a gritty, low-poly sim, it peaked at over 450 concurrent.
Genuinely, I had no idea that it went this hard. This game came out of nowhere, and to be fair, the fact that it's still sitting at 24,000 after, nearing a year now is really cool. Because these simulator games actually just tend to die as soon as they've had their go. They'll have like maybe a few months in the spotlight and then it's just over.
Players. To put that into perspective, that's higher than the peak for Borderlands 4 and FC26 combined. We are seeing a shift.
To be fair though, who the fuck do you know that plays FC? Nobody wants to play FC.
Where the middle class of gaming, the $20 to $40 range, is actually the new high end in terms of community engagement. Now, we need to have a talk about the elephant in the room. Hollow Knight Silksong was a day one Xbox Game Pass title. Standard industry advice says that if a game is free on a subscription service, its sales on other platforms will be impacted. Some analysts estimate that a Game Pass launch can cannibalize up to 80% of premium sales. But look at the 2025 Steam charts. Even with millions of people having access to Silksong, it's still sold enough at full price on Steam to hit the...
Yeah, but its full price is so low. Like, it was so well priced. It really was. Like, do you guys remember all the fucking other indie creators getting pissed off with Silksong for doing that, bro? Like, fuck off.
Platinum revenue tier. This is a massive flex for Valve. It proves that the Steam community is just fundamentally different. Steam users value the Valve ecosystem, the achievements, the mod support via Workshop, the Steam Deck optimization, and the simple desire...
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I've literally never heard of anyone using the Steam Deck
to have a game in their library more than they value free access on a competing launcher.
I disagree. I really do. I know this is probably a really good narrative for your video, but I wholly disagree. There are so many people that I know that would have, like, if they own an Xbox, just straight up would not have bought it anywhere else. People who buy their games with Steam buy them because of their refund policy. Like, for example, for COD, I bought COD on Steam and had to wait a whole extra day to buy it when I, being a New Zealander, I could have had it early on PlayStation and such, because Steam just has a refund policy and I didn't know if I was going to like it, and thankfully I could refund it. But like there are much more like and various reasons as to why things like this happen, but I fully disagree that people won't just buy it like because they like Steam. I think Steam is a very good place to buy it because it's a safe purchase and they have pretty decent customer returns policies and whatnot, especially when compared to PlayStation, where you don't even get to try the game. You don't even get to, if you have bought a game on PlayStation and then you download it onto your PlayStation, you can no longer like refund it. That is where we're at. So,
plus, while Silksong had the benefit of a 6-year hype cycle, Schedule 1 is the real Steam success story of this year. This game had a marketing budget of effectively $0. Instead of expensive cinematic trailers, the developer TVGS focused on the Steam loop. It started off with Steam Next Fest, as they dropped a demo that became one of the most played of the year, converting millions of curious players into wishlisters. Then they got into the discovery queue. By launching with an overwhelmingly positive rating and a low price count, Steam's algorithm did the work for them. And as more people tried it out and noticed they enjoyed the game, it slowly started to get picked up by big creators. The game's drug empire simulation was perfect for high-stakes Twitch and YouTube content, which only grew the game even more.
And like, here's the thing, it is like a high stakes, if you will, because obviously YouTube and Twitch don't, Twitch is debatable, but YouTube does not like drug use in its videos at all. But this game was really sort of balancing on that edge, and it won. And on top of that, it's not challenging, like, in a way where it's going to openly get you into trouble, because it's a cozy game that you can just take your time with. It's not one of these games where you're aggressively selling drugs. Like, you let a guy really do it for you.
Estimates suggest that Schedule 1 cleared $125 million in gross revenue. For a AAA game like Dune Awakening, $125 million might just barely cover the cost of development and marketing. For a team the size of TVGS, $125 million is generational wealth. This is the ultimate slap in the face. The big gaming business model is becoming high risk and low reward. The Steam indie model focused on higher quality, lower priced, polished releases of games people actually want to play is proving to be low risk and high reward. Plus, there is obviously tons of other great indie games from this year, and we can't just name them all, but these two in particular made it straight to the top of the platform, competing and even beating some of the top games released this year. Something that should be a wake-up call to AAA developers. So what is the takeaway from the 2025 Steam charts? It is that these standard
I didn't actually realize that Schedule 1 beat out Repo. I thought for sure Repo would have covered Schedule 1, but I guess not.
AAA experience
Also
is no longer the default for the Steam player. We are witnessing a quality over budget revolution. When 4 of the biggest games of the year launch with mixed reviews and struggle to outperform a $20 game made by one guy, the message is pretty clear. The Steam community is tired of being treated like a revenue stream for bloated projects. The 2025 charts prove that on Steam, you don't buy your way to the top. You have to earn it. And this year, 2 indies earned it more than almost anyone else. But I want to hear it from you. Did you find yourself playing more indies or AAA titles this year? And do you think we'll see more $20 games in the platinum tier in 2026?
I think so.
Let me know in the comments below.
I think it's almost impossible, really, at this point, for the triple games industry to come back with like a complete control and foothold over the video gaming sphere. Ever since UE5 came out, gaming as a whole and developing games has just become so fucking it's become so accessible to literally everyone. Fucking mosquito. Alright, there we go. Anyway, yeah. How the fuck are you still alive? Alright, there we go, problem solved. Right. But, yeah, no, I myself have played a enormous amount of indie games this year, far more than I would have ever done before. And I think, hold on, let's have a look. Hold on, let's have a look at this. If I pull up my Steam page, because no, that is not my Steam page. That is, that is the wrong button. Steam. Right, let's see this. So, oh, what the fuck's going on here? Okay, there we go. Right, so if I go to my library and I go home, so we can see here, like, these are all games that I have purchased and played this year, okay? So, you have Whispers from the Star, which was an indie AI game. You have Where Winds Meet, Warframe. This, I believe, could be probably considered AAA at this point. Valheim, Trackmania, though Valheim wasn't there, Trackmania, TF2, TCG, Supermarket, Slay the Spire, Sea of Thieves, blah, 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 blah. You can see it here. There is a lot more indie on here than literally anything else. It is insane how much, you know, how much we've developed in the indie sphere, but we'll
Make sure you subscribe to stay updated on all Steam
right.
news for
That is the end of the video. Good video from Water CS2 here. That was a really, really well done video. I disagree with the point of Steam being like the hierarchical peak of the video game world. Although genuinely, and I'm genuinely saying this, I think it probably is, but just not in the way he describes. I think Steam has at the moment some of the best consumer models, at least as far as I am aware. But don't I fully disagree with the fact that Steam is the like end all be all when it comes to, you know, people just have to buy on Steam. I very much disagree. If people know that they like a game enough and it's cheaper on a console rather than you know, a PC or Steam Deck, they are going to get it on that console. That's just the way money works. Anyway, I'm gonna end the recording there for you on YouTube. We'll keep going and playing some games, but we'll catch you on YouTube later. See ya. Bye.